Hi everyone, this is Cooking with Kurt. Today, my husband Donald and I are going to show you how to make a Boston cream pie. This is a buttery yellow cake filled with a creamy vanilla custard and then topped with a chocolate ganache.
Just like a giant Boston cream donut. This recipe was requested by Jaime Garcia Jr. and Teresita Lugai. Thanks so much for your request, and we hope you like this video.
To start, we're going to make the vanilla custard filling. Take 6 eggs and separate them into yolks and whites. We'll be using the 6 egg yolks for the custard. Save the egg whites for another dish. We usually use them to make an omelet for breakfast the next day. Then in the bowl of your stand mixer, add in the 6 egg yolks and half a cup of granulated sugar. Using the whisk attachment, mix them together on high speed until it looks thick and lemon yellow in color. Add in 1/4 cup of cornstarch and half a teaspoon of salt. And continue to mix until fully combined. Stop the mixer for now. Take a medium saucepan, add in 2 cups of whole milk, and heat it over medium heat. Once the milk is hot and steaming, turn off the heat. With a stand mixer whisking on medium speed with the whisk attachment, add about 1/3 of the hot milk into the egg mixture and mix until they're combined. Stop the mixer. Going back to the saucepan, while vigorously whisking by hand, add the tempered milk-egg mixture back into the steaming milk in the saucepan and whisk them together until well combined. It's important to constantly whisk so the egg does not get cooked and form lumps. Turn the heat back on and continue cooking over medium heat, and bring it to a boil, whisking constantly until the pastry cream comes to a boil. Once it starts to boil, continue heating and whisking for about 1 to 2 minutes, or until the pastry cream has thickened. Remove it from the heat. Add in 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, and an optional 1 tablespoon of dark rum. Whisk these in until everything is fully combined.
As with all of our recipes, if you prefer not to add alcohol, you can just leave out the dark rum, and there's no need to substitute it with anything.
That's right. Now take a medium-sized mixing bowl and transfer the pastry cream into the mixing bowl. By now, the pastry cream should have cooled down to warm and no longer extremely hot. Cover it with plastic wrap so the plastic wrap is touching the surface of the pastry cream to prevent a skin from forming. Rest this pastry cream in the fridge for a minimum of 3 hours to overnight.
While we're waiting for the pastry cream to firm up in the fridge, we're going to work on our vanilla sponge cake.
Now, rather than the chiffon method of making sponge cake that we usually do by whipping up egg whites into a meringue, we're going to use in this recipe what's called the hot milk method.
Ooh. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, take 1 9-inch round cake pan, and butter the sides and the bottom of the pan. Line the bottom with parchment paper and butter the parchment paper as well. If you have a cake strip, soak it in cold water for 5 minutes. Shake off excess water, but do not wring, and place it around the cake pan. In a large mixing bowl and sieve, add 1 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and half a teaspoon of kosher salt. Sift these together. Set aside this dry ingredients mixture. In the bowl of your stand mixer, add in 3 room temperature eggs and 1 cup of granulated sugar. With the whisk attachment, beat on medium-high speed for 5 minutes until it looks thick and lemon yellow in color. It should look something like this. Then take a microwave-safe container, ideally with a spout, add in 3/4 cup of whole milk and 8 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Microwave this milk butter mixture for 2 to 3 minutes in 30-second increments and stirring it in between, or until the butter is completely melted and the milk is steaming. Alternatively, if you don't have a microwave, take the butter and milk and add it to a small saucepan and heat over medium heat until it's steaming. With the mixer on low speed, slowly add the dry ingredients mixture to the egg sugar mixture and continue beating until just combined. Right before adding the steaming milk mixture into the mixing bowl, add 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract into the steaming milk mixture and stir it in. With the mixer on low speed, slowly pour the steaming milk mixture into the mixing bowl and continue to mix just until fully combined. Do not overmix this batter. Stop the mixer and scrape down the whisk attachment and the sides of the bowl as needed.
This is called the hot milk method, where instead of adding the fat in the beginning of the mixing process, we first cream the eggs and sugar together, then add the dry ingredients, and then finally add a hot mixture of melted butter and steaming milk.
Spread this cake batter into an even layer in the prepared 9-inch round cake pan. Gently tap the pan on the counter to remove any large air bubbles in the batter. We're going to bake this in our preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 to 35 minutes, or until the top surface looks light golden brown and it springs back when gently pressed in the center.
What makes this cake fluffy is when you beat the eggs and sugar together for 5 minutes on medium-high speed, you're incorporating air bubbles into the eggs, which the baking powder then expands during baking. The hot milk butter mixture coats the flour when added at the end, resulting in soft and even crumbles.
Place the pan on a metal rack and let it cool for 2 minutes. If needed, run a thin knife around the edge to separate the cake from the sides of the pan. Then carefully invert it onto another metal rack. Lift off the pan, peel off the parchment paper that the cake was baked with, and let it finish cooling completely to room temperature.
When the cake has completely cooled, transfer it to a flat surface and cut the cake in half horizontally to make 2 layers. Place the bottom half of the cake on a revolving cake stand with the cut side up. Take a piece of acetate sheet that's 4 inches high and cut it about 30 inches long, and place it around the bottom layer of your cake, doing your best to make sure the sheet is perpendicular to the cake stand surface. Tape the acetate sheet in place. We use the adhesive that came with the acetate sheet. Take the chilled vanilla custard out of the fridge, peel off the plastic wrap, and quickly whisk it to make it fluffy again and remove any lumps that may have formed. Spread the custard onto the cut side of the bottom half of the cake, making sure to go all the way to the edges and against the acetate sheet, creating a smooth and even layer of custard. Note that this technique of using an acetate sheet for a naked layer cake is optional, and you can definitely assemble this cake without an acetate sheet. The edges of the custard might just not be as straight and flush with the edges of the cake. Place the top half of the cake, cut side down, onto the custard layer, squeezing it into the gap of the acetate sheet. Tap it gently with the back of your hand to make sure that the layers fit snugly. Cover the top layer with a piece of plastic wrap, touching the cake to prevent it from drying out. We're going to let this rest in the fridge overnight for the custard layer to firm up.
The next day, when you're ready to serve, take a microwave-safe bowl and add in 1/4 cup of heavy cream. Microwave for 45 seconds or until the heavy cream is steaming. If you don't have a microwave, you can also heat this in a saucepan on the stove until the heavy cream is steaming. Add in 4 ounces of semi-sweet or bittersweet chocolate, about 2/3 cup of chocolate chips, and 1/8 teaspoon of kosher salt into the hot, heavy cream, and whisk until the chocolate mixture is smooth and uniform. Let this chocolate ganache cool for about 2 minutes.
While we're waiting for the ganache to cool a bit, take your cake out of the fridge, peel off the plastic wrap covering the cake, and remove the acetate sheet, revealing the layers of cake with vanilla custard in between. Spread the chocolate ganache over the top of the cake, using an offset spatula to create a smooth and even layer. letting some chocolate drip down over the edge of the cake. Let the finished cake rest at room temperature for 5 to 10 minutes to let the chocolate ganache set before slicing. Leftovers that will keep in the fridge for 2 to 3 days, we'd recommend taking leftovers out of the fridge and letting it rest at room temperature for 30 minutes before serving to let the chocolate ganache soften up. And there it is, a Boston cream pie. For clean slices, dip a sharp metal knife in warm water between each slice. Buttery yellow cake filled with creamy vanilla custard and topped with a smooth chocolate ganache. Ang sarap!
Yum.
Love that cream filling with the chocolate.
It's just like eating a Boston cream donut. This will go so well with coffee for breakfast in the morning.
Thank you so much for watching. Please let us know in the comment section below if you're planning to make this Boston cream pie. Send us pictures of your creations on Facebook and Instagram. The links are below. And if you like this video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Cooking with Kurt.
And don't forget to click on the bell so you get notified when we post new cooking videos. Maraming salamat!